Welcome to tonight's episode of Beyond Focus TV. I'm your host, Lydia Patel, and as always, I have a very special guest for you, someone who's no stranger to our studio, Garry Pierre-Pierre, who's the founder of the Haitian Times and the Kreyolfest. He'll be with us for the next 30 minutes, so stay with us. You're watching Beyond Focus TV.
Beyond Focus TV allows you to discuss contemporary topics affecting the Caribbean people on both a national and local level. The show features informed guests who offer insight, debate, and evaluate various issues. Beyond Focus TV builds on the station's mission to provide useful information to the Caribbean people in New York and abroad. Beyond Focus TV, where our viewing audience can get educated, informed, and empowered.
Welcome back. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. I'm Lydia Patel, sitting here with Garry Pierre-Pierre, who's the founder of the Haitian Times. Mr. Kreyolfest himself is in the building. He's doing the annual that we do every year. We have you on.
It's an annual dance.
It's our annual, at least once for the year.
Yes.
You know, you got a date locked in with Beyond Focus.
Yes.
To talk to us about Kreyolfest.
Well, once again, it's here. There are a lot of special things going on this year with Kreyolfest.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, it's on Father's Day.
Yes.
We're celebrating it on Father's Day. So all the fathers who always complain that they don't get any love, that all the mothers always get the love. So this is a time where the wives, the girlfriends, the children should bring dad to Kreyolfest to celebrate.
Well, that's going to be great. And Kreyolfest, for those who don't know, if you're joining us for the first time, new to the program, it's 16 years in the making.
Yes, it has
been.
been.
It's a long time.
Well, sometimes it feels longer. Sometimes it feels, I can't believe it's 16 years. It seems shorter.
So let's take it back a little bit to the inception. I would kind of like to bring things back, reintroduce people, because you have a lot of new people who've been joining us and watching now. So Kreyolfest, we're going to give you a little bit of history. So way back, just 1999 thereabouts, you decided to give
2000.
it 2000. But I'm sure it was a concept you had in your head
well, of course.
way before that.
You know, this is festival is, I didn't invent the concept, so it's been around. But there was not a steady festival in New York City, believe it or not, catering to the Haitian community. You had people who start one year and then they lose money and they leave. So I just felt that we needed something, a tradition, that it's an institution. As you said, once a year, you know to expect me to come here. So it's a tradition. So ironically enough, the first Kreyolfest was on Father's Day.
Okay.
Yes.
It's interesting.
And for whatever reason, we changed the date. And I realized, you know what? It was a mistake. And we should there was a reason why we did it that day to begin with. So we're going back to what we started with.
Looking back at your very first Kreyolfest.
Oh, it was a hot mess.
It was a hot mess. Tell us about it.
We didn't know what we didn't know. For instance, the funny thing is, we didn't order lights for the stage because we didn't know that you needed lights. I mean, it was a day event, but by 7, 8 o'clock, it was getting a little dark. So, you know, the lighting on the stage was really suspicious at best. We just didn't know. There's a lot of things you don't know. It's trial and error. Yeah, exactly. And so, I mean, I don't want to bore your audience about all the mistakes we made. Needless to say, we've learned a lot over the years, and we've made sure that we don't repeat our mistakes.
When you initially decided to create the festival, though, what's the one mission that you had in mind, aside from making something annual?
Well, I grew up in New York in a closed-in Haitian community. There was nothing cultural to bring kids out with their parents. And so this is something that I really wanted. I thought it was really important. So kids who are growing up in New York of Haitian parents need to a large venue to really experience their culture. Simple as that.
Now, is this platform, I mean, Haitians are everywhere. We know this. This is one thing you could say. And I think Caribbean people on a whole, the diaspora for most islands is pretty vast. Aside from New York, of course, you think of Miami, there's Boston. Is this something that's also done in other Haitian communities?
Well, Miami has one, but that's it. It's Miami and New York. Those are two large communities. The others, yes, we have presence there, but, you know, when you think of Haitians, you think first Miami, then you think of Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Not even Queens.
No, seriously, it is Brooklyn because when you know, and there may be a lot more Haitians in Queens. I don't know. I haven't looked at the census in a while. But the Brooklyn community, like they say in the Haitian community, at a party, if Brooklyn doesn't come out, you don't have a party.
Very
Because
true.
Brooklyn is the life of the party.
Absolutely. So then we fast forward 16 years later. We're doing the 2016 edition. It's 2016. A lot has been put in place for this. A lot of elements are still staying the same.
Yes, the quality of the show, we really stickler for time. We always want to make sure that the performers we have on the lineup get a chance to really play for the audience, because oftentimes in these type of things you have a mashup of bands, and so they're always like running, and so we want to make sure this doesn't happen, and this hasn't happened in Kreyolfest, because we don't overload our lineup. We know that the festival is ending at 10 o'clock, so we make sure we have enough bands, not more bands, just so we can attract more people and then give them, a half-baked festival. We want people to come, leave the park feeling satisfied.
And that's something that's so true, because I've covered many outdoor festivals, live music, Caribbean music in particular, and you would really see that 20 bands performing. And during the daytime part, it'll be kind of sporadic, but then everybody wants to perform at the end. And they're rushing 15-minute sets, and by the time some bands have to switch off altogether, new band change, DJ playing in between, it just becomes a mess. And you really lose the quality.
And that's why people don't go to these things anymore, because after a while people get tired of that.
And they're doing it right in front of you. It's a live event. So it's not like you could put the drapes down.
It's right
you
there.
Watch the sets, you watch the change, even though they try to encourage you go see the vendors and go see the booths. It's not really going to happen. So that's good to know that at Kreyolfest you're actually going to get a quality performance. You would say on average everyone's on stage for at least a good 30 to 40 minutes?
45 minutes to an hour. That's what we're shooting for this year.
That is good.
Because we're starting at 2 o'clock. We open the gates at noon. The DJ will be playing. By 2 o'clock, the first live band goes on.
That's great. So you hear it, everybody. You can actually come out. Gates open at noon, so you can come out. 2 p.m., first artist is going to be on stage.
Yeah.
And then 10 p.m. it's a wrap-up.
That's it.
And it's for a nice Sunday night. That's
exactly. Father's Day. Enjoy it. And then next year, see you same time, same location.
So you think you'll stick with the Father's Day?
Yeah, no, I think it's really important. And I really do, because you have all these Mother's Day celebrations and very little Father's Day celebration. And we want to make Kreyolfest a signature Father's Day event in the community.
That's amazing, and I think we're all looking forward to that. In the next segment, we're going to come in, we'll talk about a lot of the sponsors that we have and a lot of things that it takes so much work to really put this together. I know at this point it's almost like a recipe that you have, because it's something that you do every year. But I want to highlight that really it's a lot of work, a lot of planning that goes into this.
It's a labor of love.
I know, because you don't really earn anything from it. It's definitely not a job that you're paid for. But when you think about that and how you have to go through it, from lining up the artists and all those things, there's quite a bit that goes into it.
Yeah, it does. It's about a 6-month planning. And then the last month is just like hectic, because everything comes together at the same time. And so you have to be able to really focus and be able to make sure that everything is on point.
All right, well, hold that thought. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. Stay with us. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. I'm Lydia Patel, sitting here with Garry Pierre-Pierre of the Haitian Times, the Kreyolfest. That's why we're here today, to give you all the information, all the great information about this year's edition of the Kreyolfest, which is taking place on Father's Day. And for those who know, that is Sunday, June 19th. That is the 19th of June, starting at, I want to say 12 o'clock, because you want them to get there early.
Yes, it will be ready. We usually are ready the night before. The stage is there. the sound is set up, and so Sunday morning at 9 o'clock, the sound crew comes back and lit up everything, and then we're good to go. It takes them about an hour or two to really fine tune the sound. So by 11, we're ready to go. But
It's just for the patrons to start
yeah,
coming in after church, whatever.
Or before church. Maybe on that day they don't go to church.
And maybe on that day they may not. Exactly. But if you're trying to get your Jesus and go to the early service, that's probably what I would do. How did you decide to choose Wingate as a venue?
Well, Wingate is interesting because the first event was done at the Aqueduct Racetrack.
Mm-hmm.
Then the second year we moved it to Prospect Park Bench Shell. And the parks director, who had known of my work from the New York Times, offered to give me Wingate because he felt we would have less hassle. Prospect Park is one of the premier parks, and he was right. Mm-hmm. All the regulations you have to abide by makes it really hard. So he said, "Look, I'll give you Wingate. It's perfect, and so it's yours. Don't worry about it." And so that's how we started at Wingate, and it's a perfect venue as far as I'm concerned. I mean, the sponsors love it because there's unlimited banner opportunities.
Yes.
It's big enough, and of course, this is where they have the concert series on Monday during the weekend.
I was just gonna say,
the Martin Luther King concert series.
They decided to hold it at the same venue, so it's kind of getting up there as one of the concerts. It's known for music.
Exactly. So it was perfect, and so it's been our home, and we'll stay there as long as Kreyolfest is around.
That is awesome, and I knowing you, it's probably going to be along for a very long time.
Well, I'm getting, age is creeping, and my energy level is not the same as it was 15 years ago. So I'm looking to pass the baton to the new generation. It's time for them to put their feet and hands in the fire. And
that's something, you really have to teach that. Well, and I was
the process thinking about that. Is going on right now as we speak. There's a whole new staff at the Haitian Times, millennials who have the energy and the social media skills and all that. So the process is taking place right now.
And that's something that's really important. Before in the other segment we're talking about just getting this all together, and you were saying it's 6 months process at best, to get yourself between selecting the artists, reaching out to their management team. Even though the park is secured, I'm sure there's still a process
you have to, of course, it's a long process. And the thing was with the Parks Department, they change the rules every so often. So you always have to start from scratch, go from the premise that, hey, anything can change this year. Because, this is how government works. If something happened, then they have to make policy to ensure that it doesn't happen across the board. So there's always something new with the Parks Department.
Mm-hmm. And that's why we love them, right? That's why we love them. This year, let's talk about the lineup.
Yes.
A lot of great people. I see it's not too packed, but it's, that's the official flyer. So let's really go into details about who will be there on Sunday, June 19th.
Okay. Well, the headliners, if you will be Carry Me and Zengle. Mm-hmm. And then we have Suave out of Miami. We have Black Parents out of Montreal. We have Charisma out of New York. And we have Wadezil out of Haiti. And then we have this dance troupe out of Haiti. It's called Jap Dance Haiti. Mm-hmm. Then we have Pastor Blase, who's a well-known comedian out of Haiti, who's going to be the host. And so, we have Fasol, which is a band out of here. Then we have an up-and-coming singer, more or less R&B style, called Nifa.
Okay.
And so it's a great lineup.
And are you solely responsible for picking who would be, and basically doing the artist selection?
Well, more or less. I mean, what we do every year, we decided, okay, who's going to be the two of our headliners? And from there, then we go walk backward. And then a lot of times people will call and then ask to be part of the lineup. And so we'll work with them depending on if the conditions are right for us, mm-hmm. then we accept it. We get calls as we speak from people asking to be part of the lineup. But, obviously, like I said earlier, the time is limited. You cannot have